UFC 316 is this upcoming weekend. I'm going to be giving my entire prediction and breakdown for the entirety of the card, starting from the very early prelim all the way to the main event, the big-time main event this weekend. Let's start off. Markel Medeiros versus Mark Choinsky. Okay. Okay. I think I'm going to pick Markel Medeiros in this one. Mark Choinsky is good. He's 8-0. He's a young guy. Maybe he'll show up and he'll be decent. And Markel Medeiros isn't an amazing prospect. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He's got a little bit of an interesting record now. Or he might just be 1-0, but he had the fight with Austin Hubbard. It was really, really close. Austin Hubbard's very decent. Scrappy guy. He's hard to finish, and, he's a vet. Markel Medeiros, I'm sure, is going to have some issues with him, and it makes total sense. I understand. And, oh, wow, Keyshawn Davis just missed weight, guys. Moving on from that, though, let's actually get over to the card here. But Markel Medeiros isn't super talented. I think he's decent, and I think he's got some potential. And maybe Mark Choinsky will show up and shock us all and get an upset and, get a big win and, put his name at 155. But this is still on short notice. I don't think he had a camp going in to taking this fight on short notice, so I don't know how good of shape he's going to be in. And yeah, I just think that Markel Medeiros is going to be better than Mark Choinsky. I think the experience will show a little bit. Being in the UFC, winning a close split decision with Austin Hubbard, which could have gone two ways, but it was close. And I just think that Markel Medeiros is going to get this one done. Now, of course, he could lose. I think he has enough potential to get this win. I think it'll take someone a little bit better to beat him, but I don't see him being this amazing prospect at 155. So I think he beats Mark Choinsky. And he gets 2-0, 3-0 in the UFC and really starts putting his name out there at 155. Once he gets against once there's a tougher matchup, maybe a guy who's a specialist, I think we'll give him problems because I think Medeiros is very all around, he's not amazing at anything. And I think that'll be the case. So I'm going to say Markel Medeiros gets this one done, pick apart decision. Probably pretty close, but I think he'll get this win. Moving on. Quillan Sakhild versus Yanal Ashmuz. This is a pretty good fight. I really think both these guys are very decent. Obviously, Yanal Ashmuz is not bad at all. He won his last fight against Trevor Peek. That's a pretty decent win. It was by decision. He won in September. So it's been a minute since he's been back, but he's fighting Quillan Sakhild, who is a big favorite going into this one. And he's got a lot of hype behind him. He had a big, 10, 15-second knockout against Anshul Jubli, which Anshul Jubli is not that bad, guys. All right, he's technical. He has some ability. His chin is weak, though. I don't think he's got the fighter, mentality. I don't think he has the mentality for it. I think he's got technical skill. I think he's young. I think he's fast, and he's decent. But I don't think he has the chin, man. He got chinned by Mike Breeden late in the fight after easily winning the entire fight. And it was a disappointing performance. Then he goes out there against Sakhild and gets absolutely slept early. And to me, that shows that Sakhild does have power, does have real power. And I don't care if it was against Anshul Jubli, he has power. And I think that Sakhild is a very good prospect, and I do think that he will be a top contender at lightweight one day. He's only 25 years old. He has so much time to continue to develop, and he's definitely one of those top prospects out of Australia right now. But I really do think that Quillan Sakhild is going to get this win. And I think he's really good. Now, should he be a minus 500 favorite against Yanal Ashmuz? No. Yanal Ashmuz is very good, and he could absolutely win this fight. But I think Sakhild is better. He's bigger than Yanal Ashmuz. He's going to really square off on him in the cage, and I think he's going to get this one done. So I'm going to say Quillan Sakhild. I'm going to say by third round, TKO. This one goes a little bit longer. Yanal Ashmuz is much tougher than Anshul Jubli. And I think that Sakhild will still get this one done and will still easily win the fight. It'll just take longer. And I think it'll take longer for him to get the finish, and he'll put himself at 2-0. And I think that maybe if they rush him to the top, he will struggle. But I think that as long as they keep him on this pace and just slowly getting better and better opponents. I think that he'll be a real contender at lightweight one day, as he continues to grow and develop. And I like that he fought. He fought in February. He took no damage on his his home country, Australia card. No damage whatsoever. Comes back and gets a fight pretty decently short notice. I mean, not short notice, but turns around pretty quickly, which is a good one. So happy about that with Sakil. I'm going to say, third round TKO. He gets this one done over Dvalishvili. I'm yapping. Moving up the card. Jeka Sarig versus Ju Sang Yu. This is probably the worst fight on the card. Either this one or the next one. Now, I recorded this video yesterday. Got corrupted. I was pretty upset, but then I watched the Pacers game. If any of you are NBA fans, obviously you know that would cheer me up, as I'm a Pacer fan. Lifetime Pacer fan. And, I wouldn't be a Pacer fucking bandwagon. Jeez. Anyway, let's talk about this fight, I guess. Jeka Sarig versus Ju Sang Yu. When I recorded this yesterday, I picked Jeka Sarig. And the reason I picked Jeka Sarig was because he's got a little bit of power on the feet. And he's a short, stocky guy for the division. I think Ju Sang Yu, he's 8-0. He's a really stat-padded record. First fight in the UFC. This fight also kind of came together weird, like on a weird notice. He just kind of got into the UFC, and it's a weird fight. But I think I can't get it out of my head. Losing to Weston Wilson is not a great look. And even if Ju Sang Yu isn't the best grappler, I think he's more of a striker. And so maybe Jeka Sarig will get the win this fight. Damn, I'm really not sure. It's been almost a year since Sarig's fought. He lost to Weston Wilson. But Ju Sang Yu hasn't fought anyone as good as Jeka Sarig, which isn't saying much, but, man, this is I'm just going to say Ju Sang Yu. I'm going to trust in the development. I'm going to trust in the undefeated prospect. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be really upset because I picked Jeka Sarig yesterday. But I got to re-record this. And I'm going to just pick Ju Sang Yu in this one. I think that he's going to be more confident going into this one. And I think he's got to, if Weston Wilson can submit this guy, please, Ju Sang Yu. You better beat him. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. I'm going to say by decision, he beats Jeka Sarig. I'm going to say, UD, he beats him. Moving up to the final early prelim, Ariane Da Silva versus Wang Kong. So weigh-ins were this morning, and so this gives me a little bit of extra time. I can see the weigh-ins and see the full fight week before I do my prediction. And that actually played into my main event prediction, so I'm still going to keep thinking about that one, but because I keep going back and forth on it. But this fight, Ariane Da Silva versus Wang Kong. Now, if you missed it, Ariane Da Silva missed weight this morning. She missed by 6 pounds. I don't think that she should be able she should be allowed to win. Now, Wang Kong should keep her as an opponent because I think Wang Kong wins this fight. Now, Ariane Da Silva is decent. Her last fight was against Jasmine Jasudavicius. She lost by submission. It was a pretty clear loss, but that's no shame in that. Jasmine Jasudavicius is potentially a future champ. She's really good, and Ariane Da Silva is decent. And I think that this will be a somewhat difficult matchup for Wang Kong. I don't think Ariane Da Silva is a good enough grappler to expose Wang Kong, and I don't think she has enough power to where she's going to be able to pull what Gabriela Fernandez pulled off in a fluke KO. Now, the question is with Wang Kong. Obviously, she's still raw in the grappling. And she showed it a little bit in her last fight, but it wasn't really much. And, she got the win. She turned around really quick notice against Bruna Brazil after losing on the China card by KO not long before that. So she turned around quickly and was able to get a win, which is big for her. And she's fully recovered from that KO, I think, at this point. And now, what I was saying is the question is with her is, you do worry that maybe the kickboxing years took a little bit of a toll on her chin. Obviously, she's got a lot of kickboxing experience. She fought Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing. And, she's coming into the UFC. She's a really talented striker, has real knockout power. And I think that she'll get this one done, but you do have to worry that Ariane De Silva could expose her chin, Wang Kong's chin. I think this is when we'll really know how good is Wang Kong. Will she put away Ariane De Silva and prove that she is top 15 worthy and continue getting this fast track? Or is Ariane De Silva going to expose that Wang Kong does have a weak chin? Now, she shouldn't have a weak chin. She's been taking shots from kickboxers, but again, she's 33. She's had a lot of kickboxing fights. You can understand that those would maybe take a toll on her, and she's not as fresh. But Ariane De Silva she's not fresh in her career either. I mean, she's 17-10. I'm going to pick Wang Kong. Hopefully she gets this one done by amazing KO. So I'm going to say second round KO for Wang Kong. Hopefully she gets this one done. If she does, then they can keep giving her this fast track. If not, and she just wins, still give her the fucking fast track. It's women's flyweight. We don't care. There's only two exciting prospects right now, and Natalia Silva, who's getting the next title shot, and then hopefully getting the next title shot, and then Jasmine Jasudavicius. We need more prospects. Who gives a fuck? Throw Wang Kong to Alexa Grasso. Get her on the China card that's coming up in August with Zhang Mingyang headlining it against Johnny Walker, and then Yadong versus Rob Font as the co-main. That's going to be a great card. Get her on the card against a high-ranked women's strawweight and get this going, or women's flyweight, sorry, and get this division moving. Get her on a fast track if she gets this win. So I'm going to say second round KO by Wang Kong. Hopefully she does it, and we get some real exciting striker at the top of women's flyweight. Moving up to the first prelim of the night, Andreas Gustafsson versus Chaos Williams. Now, I've seen some people picking Chaos Williams for this one. I completely understand because Andreas Gustafsson's style is he's going to wear you down, get you in the clinch, beat you up in the clinch, elbows. He generates a lot of his power from the clinch, and he wants to kind of just maul you. And he does it without grappling to a large extent. And it's really impressive. Now, he is 34. He's still fresh in his career as an MMA fighter. And, he's Swedish. There's not a lot of Swedish guys in the UFC that have actually made runs. And, he has a big fan base behind him. He's very hyped up. And I don't know if you saw his Instagram post, but, he called himself something, which I think is pretty representative of who he is. I think he's dumb. I'm not going to say the word because I really don't want to, get caught by YouTube with my 100 views. But Gustafsson, I think he's dumb. I think he's a true fighter. And I think Chaos Williams has that fighter mentality. Now, he took this on short notice. People forget, man. He took this on short notice. And I get that his style is something that can really counter Gustafsson. Gustafsson trying to get close and get in the clinch and beat you up. And Williams, he is a guy you don't really want to get in his boxing range because he's got power and he can put you away. Now, the thing is, he took this on short notice. And I think Gustafsson is going to get you in the clinch. And I think to beat Gustafsson, you need to be a really dynamic wrestler or grappler. And I think you need to pull something out in the clinch where he's going to be looking for the strikes in the Muay Thai. And you're going to be looking for tricks. And you're going to be looking to reverse him and get on his back, And Chaos isn't going to do that. Chaos is going to look to match power for power. And honestly, I think Gustafsson has more power. So I'm going to pick Andreas Gustafsson. And I'm actually going to pick it by third round TKO. I think it's going to be a really good fight. And it's going to be kind of slow paced. But I think Gustafsson will KO him in the clinch with an elbow. That's what I'm going to say. He gets it done. Gets a big first win in the UFC. I mean, Chaos Williams is a fantastic fighter. If he can beat Chaos Williams, I want to see him against another very good welterweight. So maybe, if you just want to give him, someone not too great yet, but like a Phil Rowe. No, I'm putting names together, aren't I? Maybe not. Sorry, guys, I'm a little autistic. I can't really put words together. Maybe that's dyslexic. I don't fucking know. I'm predicting a UFC card on YouTube right now. What am I doing? Yeah, third round KO for Andreas Gustafsson. Let's move on. Sergey Spivak versus Walter Cortez Acosta. Now, okay, I want to say something before I get into this fight. If you do not think this is a good card, shut up. You do not know MMA. Yeah, there's not a lot of high-ranked names on this card. And trust me, I want those too. And certain cards deserve that. And I think that certain cards aren't getting that treatment. Like International Fight Week, I think, deserves that treatment a little bit more. But they don't get it. This fight, I understand this card. It's well-paced. And there's a lot of really intriguing fights in the prelims. I mean, Markel Medeiros, undefeated young guy in the UFC, undefeated in the UFC. Quillen Sekield, same thing, high-level prospect. Wang Kong, potential. Andreas Gustafsson, hyped up prospect coming off Contender Series, finally making his debut after all the cancellations. And then you get 3 ranked fights on the prelims. Like, people forget, man, Sergey Spivak versus Waldo Cortez Acosta is a top 10 heavyweight matchup. I know it's sad, but it's true. Azamat Murzakanov is a hell of a light heavyweight, ranked dude. He shouldn't be fighting Brenson Ribeiro, but another great fight. Joshua Van is fucking back. We get Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. That's going to be a great fight. Patchy Mix is in the UFC against Mario Bautista. And then you have Joe Pyfer and Kelvin Gastelum. Fucking, I'll get more into that fight. And then 2 title fights. It's a good card. It's not an amazing card. Better than the last card that we had. Better than the Australia card. 100%. So people need to stop hating on this card. And I really think this is going to prove a lot of people wrong. But let's get into the fight. So Sergey Spivak, Waldo Cortez Acosta. This is a really interesting fight to predict. And I've swung both ways on this fight. Now, Sergey Spivak lost his last fight to Jailton Almeida by KO. Not very good in terms of, that's not a good loss to have. And, before that, he beat Marcin Tybura in a rematch. And then he, sorry, I got a message from my boss. And, before that, he got KO'd by Cyril Gane. I'm trying to think of Sergey Spivak's career. Waldo Cortez Acosta is on the big win streak that he's on right now. His last win was against Ryan Spann. Now, I thought Ryan Spann was going to have success at heavyweight. I predicted him to beat Waldo. He didn't. But Waldo, I really like the activity he's going through right now. I do think he has skill. And honestly, the real question is Spivak going to control him on the ground? I think Waldo is a strong enough blob to defend the takedowns of Sergey Spivak. I don't think he's a Marcin Tybura. I think he's a little bit better. And I think that his striking is better than Sergey Spivak's. And so I'm actually going to pick Waldo Cortez Acosta. I like the momentum for him. I like what he's been doing recently. I like the activity. I like that he's not coming off a KO loss this year to a guy who's not really a KO specialist. And I think that I don't think this is going to be a finish. I think this is likely going to be a 3-round blob decision. And I think Waldo Cortez Acosta is just slightly going to outdo Sergey Spivak. And I think a lot of it will be in the striking. So I'm going to pick Waldo Cortez Acosta. Close 29-28 decision, but he gets it done. Moving up the card. Azamat Murzakanov versus Brenson Ribeiro. Okay, so I don't understand this matchmaking at all. Ribeiro just had the win over the Kazakhstan guy, the Nurgaje, who had the tick, and he kept rubbing his eye or whatever it was, his nose. I mean, he had that. He did it every second. It was actually really weird, and he looked good on the Contender Series. So I didn't get it, but Brenson Ribeiro, he looks the part. He's this big Brazilian strong dude, 6'3", 28 years old. Jacked dude. Azamat Murzakanov is a 5'10", kind of chubby, fat, bald, old Russian guy, and he is going to completely brutalize, outclass, and ruin Brenson Ribeiro. That's what's going to happen. He's going to have a 5-inch height disadvantage, and he's going to have a 10-inch reach disadvantage. against Brenson Ribeiro, and he is going to absolutely fucking destroy him. I guarantee you. This is one of the most confident picks I have on the card. I'm going to say third round KO. Murzakanov shows his power early. And, he's undefeated. He's 14-0. He was supposed to fight Nikita Krylov on the MSG card. That fight got canceled. I believe there were some sort of visa issues, or maybe, I don't know, someone had an injury. I don't remember if it was Murzakanov or Nikita. Nikita fought Dominic Reyes. We all saw how that panned out. And I was wrong on that. I probably would have picked Nikita to beat Azamat Murzakanov, but I think Azamat's way better than Brenson Ribeiro, and I think he gets this one done. I think he'll show his power early, and Ribeiro will barely be able to keep on his feet. And I think the rounds will continue to go on. He'll give a little bit back, but I really think this is going to be a brutalization, guys. This is going to be a brutal one, and I really think that Azamat Murzakanov is going to put it on him. So I'm going to say third round TKO with punches. I think it'll be a big right hand or big left hand over the top against Brenson Ribeiro and finishes him. That's what I've got for this one. Moving up the card, Joshua Van versus Bruno Silva. Now, if you don't know already, this is a Joshua Van fan page. So if you do not like Joshua Van, get out or at least listen to the next minute of what I'm about to say. Joshua Van is absolutely going to break Max Holloway's strike record before the end of his career. Significant strikes record is my point. He's the fastest to ever reach. I believe he has 750 significant strikes in his career. He's 23 years old. He's atom weight sized. He's bigger than Bruno Silva in this fight. His only loss is against Charles Johnson, I believe, in the UFC. And Charles Johnson, was on a big streak at that time. And Joshua Van's been extremely active. He came off that KO, fought Edgar Chairez on the Mexico card, put on one of the best fights that we've seen in a long time. Got rocked and stayed on his feet and won that fight. Then he comes back in December, right? No, he came back in March, sorry. He took a little bit of time off after the Mexico fight, I believe. He might have fought in December, guys. He is so active. He wants to fight all the time because he's atom weight sized. And he can weigh in easily. He's not going to miss weight. And Bruno Silva's smaller than Joshua Van, guys, in terms of height in this fight, which Joshua Van is not used to. He's used to being the smaller guy, but he's going to win either way. And him being the bigger guy with the same reach is going to be even better for him. And he is going to go out there and he is going to completely destroy Bruno Silva with his boxing. It's going to be outclass. He's just going to outclass Bruno Silva with strikes. It's going to be similar to the Manel Kape performance. I just don't think he has as much power as Manel Kape. I think that's his one issue. I think it's going to be really similar to that performance, though, except he's not going to be kicking like Manel Kape. It's just going to be a complete masterclass where he is picking you apart with his boxing. He's going to beat up Bruno Silva, man. I feel bad for Bruno Silva because I really like him, and I really think he's a fun fighter to watch, and he's energetic, he's exciting, he's explosive, he's dynamic, he's got skills, and he's really fast. He's 35. He's 14-6-2. He's fighting 23-year-old Joshua Van, who has so much potential, so much boxing skill, maybe the best boxer in the flyweight division. And I keep giving him his praises. I gave him his praises in the prediction video for the last card, and I think he's going to do it again. I think he's going to absolutely dominate Bruno Silva. Complete masterclass. I'm going to say it goes by decision. Maybe he gets the TKO, but I think Bruno Silva's tough enough to stay in it. And I don't think Joshua Van has godly power. So I'm going to say Joshua Van wins this by decision, completely outclassing Bruno Silva with his boxing. He's a mix of JDM and Brandon Moreno. And speaking of that, a lot of people are saying Joshua Van should fight Brandon Moreno on the Mexico card in September. And he would love to make that turnaround. He deserves that type of jump up if he can dominate Bruno Silva. And all the fans love him. True fans. So Joshua Van's going to get this one done, and I really hope you like him. If you don't, you shouldn't watch this channel because you do not know MMA. You should, and then you'll maybe know some stuff. But let's move on to the main card. I need to stop glazing Joshua Van. Moving on. Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. Okay. So I've kind of, again, I've gone back and forth on this one, and I think there's different results to this fight. Now, a lot of people are picking Kevin Holland, and he's a major favorite going into this one. And a lot of people are still saying that Vicente's done and that, you know, that the damage he's taken at this point has messed him up. And, it's definitely a possibility. He's taken a lot of damage in his fight. The Buckley fight was really worrying to watch. And, but the thing is, what we know about Buckley is that he might be one of the best welterweights in the world right now. So I really don't think that we can take much away from Vicente Luque for that loss. Then he goes out there against Themba Gorimbo and absolutely shows him the levels and submits him early. And I think his grappling is going to show more in this fight. He's going to want to strike with Kevin Holland for a little bit. Now, if he just chooses to strike with Kevin Holland, I absolutely think that Kevin Holland might take this one. I think they're pretty even on the feet. I think at this point in their careers, obviously prime Vicente a little bit different, but he's definitely a little past his prime at this point. Kevin Holland, I also think, is past his prime. I think they're both kind of, in these ruts, and I don't think Kevin Holland should be a favorite going into this fight. But I understand it because of the damage, outlook, and he's bigger than Vicente, and he was trying to throw off Vicente at the press conference, when they faced off. He was like, "Yeah, we're going to war. You usually have sex after wars? I have sex after wars." He was saying some weird shit, dude. And he got all pissy when a reporter asked him about the 45-70 thing with Rampage. He was like, "Is Rampage in the UFC?" "No, so don't even fucking ask about him." And then he goes on the podcast and he's like, "Well, anyone who knows MMA, they know who Rampage is. They respect who Rampage is." And then he's just shitting on Rampage in front of him. And then every time he goes out, he's just talking about, "Is Rampage in the UFC?" "Nah, don't even fucking talk about him then." Kevin Holland is such a bitch. Maybe he's hiding something too. Maybe he's got, he's got something in the closet, if you know what I mean. He says some weird shit too. He says some freaky shit. And he likes to post himself while he's shitting. It's kind of weird, dude. I know you like to smoke and, but that doesn't make it okay. I'm going to pick Vicente Luque in this one. I really am. And I'm going to pick it by submission. I think his grappling is a lot better than Kevin Holland. And I kind of just see a head and arm triangle. I don't know why. I just see it. I see it in the second round. On the feet, it's kind of close. Vicente starts mixing it up in the second, and I think he gets a submission. I think Vicente starts to get a big win, and then he starts to go back up in the rankings. Now, we'll see who he gets after that. He's still 33. He's still got time. He's not completely done. I don't think Vicente Luque is completely done. But this is going to be a tough one for him, and I think he gets it done by submission, second round. Moving up the card. I'm taking too long. Mario Bautista versus Patchy Mix. Probably the fight I'm second or third most excited for on this card. Patchy Mix's debut against Mario Bautista. This is going to be an awesome fight. And what I'm going to manifest a certain victory for Patchy Mix and Mario Bautista. So I'm really hoping that Patchy Mix lands that front kick, the same front kick that Michael Chandler landed in their fight on Tony Ferguson. And I want Mario Bautista. So look back. I'm not going to pull it up here because I don't want to mess up my recording because that's what happened last time. Go look at Tony Ferguson's face again when he got face kicked by Michael Chandler and look at his face. He looks like Mario Bautista in that photo. And so I'm really hoping that he gets face kicked just like Tony had to deal with, and he transforms into Tony Ferguson when he gets face kicked, similarly to how Ferguson transformed into Bautista, and then Bautista's just out cold, and hopefully I'm not going to say that hopefully he dies from his complications, but hopefully he's out for a long time due to the complications of his injury. Now, Patchy Mix has been really confident coming into this fight week. And I really do think that he has a grappling advantage. So if I had to be realistic, I think Patchy Mix wins this one by decision. But let's just hope that he finishes Mario Bautista after what that bitch did to Jose Aldo, man. And I mean, he barely beat Jose. He got outclassed on the feet completely. He held him against the cage, and that's the only way to beat Jose Aldo. It's true. It's the only way to beat Jose Aldo. Well, Amy and Zahabi proved us wrong, I guess, but that was a really close fight in itself, and I think Jose knew that he was done in terms of that fight. You know, he missed weight. His body couldn't do it. You can just tell. That was definitely the worst Jose that we had ever seen compared to the one against Bautista. Bautista just fucking held him against the cage like a bitch because that's what he does. And so Patchy Mix, hopefully he brutalizes him and finishes him. Moving on. Joe Pyfer versus Kelvin Gastelum. Nuclear Bomb versus Coughing Baby. Kelvin Gastelum by fucking domination, guys. By taco. Kelvin Gastelum by engulfing and eating Joe Pyfer in the cage, live on pay-per-view. I really think that might end up being the result of this fight. I really could see like Kelvin just like he takes him down, right? And I think he's gonna expose Joe Pyfer's lack of grappling, guys. And he's gonna take him down, and he's gonna get on top of him. And you know that's generally where you start ground and pound, or you try to advance a position and get a submission. But what I think will happen is Kelvin will get him on the ground, and then he'll smell like the sweat coming from Joe Pyfer, or he'll smell he'll cut him open, he'll smell the blood. And his stomach starts growling, guys. And he just starts eating Joe Pyfer. He just starts biting him on his arm. He rips a piece of flesh off. Joe Pyfer's like, no, I didn't turn my body cam off for this. And then Kelvin just starts eating him. And I think it's going to be the first ever win by consumption in the UFC. So I'm going to pick Kelvin Gastelum in this one. By digestion, I think would be a good way to describe it. On the real, Joe Pyfer, I think, is going to really hurt Kelvin in the first round, and Kelvin will last until the third, but he'll get absolutely brutalized and dominated, and Joe Pyfer will knock him out in the third round, be the first fighter to finish Kelvin Gastelum with strikes. But I thought the first part was kind of funny. Maybe not. Moving up to co-main event, Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. Hopefully Kayla Harrison just goes out and fucks Juliana Pena, whips out the dick. I don't know. No, but let's actually break down this fight, because I actually am interested in this fight. Now, I don't think Juliana Pena's 1-1-2 of death is going to really affect Kayla Harrison in this fight, or the Kimura of doom. The 11-5 Juliana Pena, I think she might be a little outclassed here, guys. And I think Kayla Harrison really will find the judo. I really think her judo is really going to play into this one. Similarly as it did the Holly Holm fight. Didn't really in the Caitlin Vieira fight, because Caitlin was able to kind of keep it sloppy. But Juliana Pena is going to run forward. She's just going to throw punches and, like that. And she's just going to run forward with head first. And Kayla won't, counter-strike her, because she's not that good. But what she will do is I think that she can tie Pena up that way and get her down with trips, takedowns, and really expose her. And I really think that she's going to outclass Pena, and it'll just be a pretty obvious decision. Maybe Pena can keep it close because somehow she just beats people in the striking. And I think Kayla's striking is actually better than Juliana Pena's, but for some reason Juliana Pena will just outstrike her. So that's just something we have to live with, but I think Kayla Harrison will still win the fight. Hopefully she dominates it and just ground and pounds her, and but we'll see. I don't like Juliana Pena, as you guys can see. And I thought she robbed Raquel Pennington. Obviously, who really gives a fuck? But I really did think that Raquel Pennington won that fight. And I think they only did that because they knew Amanda Nunes was coming back. And if Pena wins and beats Harrison, then you have the trilogy with with Nunes. And then if Harrison wins, you have Harrison and Nunes. So I think that's why they got Pennington away from the belt, to be brutally honest. And, so I'm going to pick Kayla Harrison in this one. I'm going to say by decision. Moving on to the main event. Merab versus O'Malley. Now, I'm going to be completely serious about this fight. So, a lot of people have been feeling O'Malley coming into this week. Obviously he stopped gooning and, he stopped smoking and whatever, and now he doesn't have his dyed hair, so all of a sudden he's just going to be great. I really don't think that's what I've been thinking about. What I've more been thinking about is Merab. Merab came into this week. He's not Merab. He is, but he's not. He's not. He seems like he has a little bit of a different mentality. I think after the Umar fight, he's been given so much respect from fans. He still got booed at the press conference, and O'Malley got chants, but I think Merab, after the Umar fight, gets a lot more respect, and he absolutely does from me. I've given him so much more respect since that fight. Even though I said, this is the dark age of championship MMA, I really just ignored his Umar fight because that was really a fantastic fight. I rewatched it recently when they uploaded it to YouTube. Oh, guys, it's such a great fight. Watch it before this one. If you have two fights that you get to watch before this one, watch O'Malley versus Jan, watch Merab versus Umar, or O'Malley versus Sterling. That works too, but all you're going to see is a boring-ass first round, and then he sleeps him a minute into the second. But, the Jan fight was actually really entertaining. But Merab seems a little off. He literally admitted in the media day, guys, he literally just admitted, he was like, yeah, this is hardest weight cut of my career. I have trouble finding motivation to fight Sean again. He's a nice guy. But I think that I train very hard and I think I'm going to win. But guys, I'm not going to let him knock me out, guys. He has good chance of knocking me out. This is really the type of stuff he says. Sorry, my dad's mowing the lawn outside. This is what happens when you're home for the summer. But guys, I try very hard, but I think he has good chance of knocking me out this time, and I think he's going to stop my takedowns, and he has a lot of power, but I'm going to try and win, guys. It seems like he has no confidence coming in. It's so weird, but I really just think it's his dumbass brain that's just going on about this. And, I think Merab is really good, and I just think that O'Malley, a healthy O'Malley, no hip injury. He's going to be able to throw knees up the middle when Merab is shooting it on takedowns, similarly to how he did with Cheeto. When Cheeto was crashing in, whether it was strikes for takedowns or not, that knee that he hit on Cheeto and he was landing it occasionally, I think that's going to be more active in this fight because he didn't really have those knees in the Merab fight because you have to have a lot of hip flexibility to be able to throw those. And I think without his hip, with this hip injury last fight, I think that affected him ultimately, and I think that a healthy O'Malley, Merab, he's on O'Malley's schedule. He's coming off the Umar fight, which was, again, a really tough fight, and he's literally said this is the hardest weight cut. He's probably going to have my assumption is because he's the heaviest coming into this week that he's been in a long time. He also literally said he had struggle, getting motivation for this fight. And he's also said, and this is just true, every fight is different. This is just true. O'Malley is going to have a better chance in this one because he's spent 25 minutes in there with Merab. Merab doesn't usually face guys in rematches. I don't know if he ever has, actually. And when he does face guys, it's going to be different. When you face someone in a rematch, you know more about them, and it's a different approach. Now, the thing is with Merab is when you fight him, you get so shocked by his cardio, and you get so shocked by just, he's still shooting. Oh my God, he's shooting again. Like, what the fuck? And that's what Umar felt. But I think O'Malley's used to it. And the thing is, it wasn't like O'Malley got completely, like, takedown, he stuffs it, and then he just shoots another takedown. It was more, he gets a takedown, and he lays on top position. Now, Merab doesn't usually get top position, which is a little bit concerning for O'Malley, but then it's also like, well, the hip, could play a factor, and he still stuffed 9 of his 15 takedowns, guys, and the fight was close, and you could tell that O'Malley was not at his best in terms of the striking. I think he's going to be much better in terms of the striking this fight, and if he could keep it that close, I really do feel confident that he could win this one by decision or KO. I really think he has 2 different ways that he can win this fight. And, I think that he's really going to give Merab a tough run. Now, Merab might prove me wrong and might make me look like an idiot, but I'm really going to say O'Malley by 3rd round KO, man. Or you know what? I'm not even going to say KO. O'Malley by decision. He's going to beat Merab, outstriking him 49, 46, 48, 47. He stuffs enough takedowns and gets the win. We'll see if Merab proves me wrong. But we'll see. O'Malley might get it done. This is going to be a great fight this weekend. Please tune into this card. It's actually a really good card. And, that's all I've got. So thank you, everybody, for watching. That's it for me. Have a good one.